Hi, welcome to Buffzone here at Liquor Mart at 15th and Canyon, downtown Boulder. Home for all your tailgating needs. There's only 2 home games left, so make sure you get here in November and stock up.
It's a great place to drown your sorrows too. And if you're a Buff fan, it might be something you might want to consider.
I'm Kyle Ringo. This is Neil Welk. We cover the University of Colorado Athletic Department for the Daily Camera newspaper. And
wait a minute. Wait. You're Kyle Ringo?
I am.
What happened to the real Kyle Ringo?
What are you talking about?
What happened to the real Kyle? What happened to the
right
Kyle
here.
Ringo? I got up this morning and opened up my newspaper and I read this column by this guy who claims to be Kyle Ringo, and it's showing heart and compassion and all these wonderful, nice things, and actually, exhorting fans to exhibit just a modicum of common sense. And it was from this guy that I didn't know this was Kyle Ringo. So what'd you do with Ringo?
What are you talking about? I just wrote a column a couple weeks ago asking fans to use some common sense, not rushing the field after.
Oh, that's not asking about, that's not showing any heart or compassion or anything like that. I've never seen that. But anyway, whoever this guy is, we'll talk about CU football today. He claims to be Kyle Ringo.
Whatever. Anyway. The Buffs are traveling to Oklahoma this week, and they're going to be without their starting quarterback, Tyler Hansen, out for the season with a ruptured spleen. You've had a ruptured spleen, right?
What does a spleen do?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And
he's not a doctor either.
John Major out for at least probably 3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe the season 2. He's the team's leading tackler. So last week the Buffs lost their starting quarterback, leading tackler. Where does that leave them?
It leaves them in just one really horrible, hellacious position because they happen to be going to a team that lost its first game of the year last week. They had been ranked in the top 3 in the nation. Very good team, Oklahoma. They desperately are going to be wanting a win, wanting to make up for losing to Missouri last week. And guess who comes into town? That would be the Buffaloes. Not a good combination if you're Cody Hawkins, who will be the starting quarterback this week.
Yeah, Colorado goes to Norman, where the Sooners have not lost a game since 2005, 34 consecutive wins down there. And as we all know, it's been a long time since the Buffs won a game on the road. 3 years ago this week, as a matter of fact, at Texas Tech was the last time it happened. Cody Hawkins was the quarterback of that game, and Cody Hawkins was the quarterback for the Buffs the last time they played the Sooners as well. And both of those instances, both of those games resulted in Colorado wins. So maybe there's
history repeats itself.
Positive mojo going here. I don't know.
It's going to take a lot of positive mojo because, like I said, Oklahoma's a very good team defensively and offensively. They ran into a buzzsaw at Missouri. I was really impressed with the way Missouri played last week, but this Oklahoma team is going to be wanting to reestablish its momentum. They've got some big games left. They want to win this weekend, and it's just going to be an extremely difficult place for Colorado to play, particularly without their leading tackler and particularly without their number 1 quarterback.
Yeah, Cody Hawkins was talking today at the weekly press conference about how in 2007, when they were able to pull off the victory over the then number 3 ranked Sooners, one of the big factors in that victory was Colorado's ability to run the ball. I think that's going to be a big factor this week too. Colorado's going to have to run the ball. It's going to have to keep a potent, fast-paced Oklahoma offense off the field to give itself a chance to win. Obviously, it's going to have to play well in the kicking game and on defense too, but I think probably the biggest key to this game is whether or not Colorado can run the ball effectively.
I think you're right. I think Colorado has to be able to run the ball, and you do 2 things there. You keep your defense off the field. You give them a chance, to catch their breath, to get rested, and then you also, you shorten the game. And whenever you shorten the game, that gives you a better chance to win if you're probably not the best team on the field. So I think Colorado has to establish a running game. Rodney Stewart, I'd like to see a little bit more of Will Jefferson, just a change of pace. And the one thing they're not going to have this week is the threat of a running quarterback, and that does not help the running game. When they know that Cody Hawkins is not going to take off and run, that allows their defense to play a little bit, different style of defense, and that's what's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened at the end of the Texas Tech game last week. Coach Tommy Tuberville talked about it a little bit in his post-game. Colorado went away from the running game in the fourth quarter. In the second half, particularly because Texas Tech was daring them to pass the ball, and they passed the ball pretty effectively, but Cody and some of his receivers had some miscommunications, a couple drop passes late in the game, and that kind of doomed the Buffs. So the Buffs have to run the football in Norman to win this game.
That interruption, by the way, just then, that was God looking for the real Kyle Ringo, paging Kyle Ringo, but since the real Ringo's not here, we're going to listen to this. I would agree, and Oklahoma's defense is a good defense. The Big 12, I think that when you look at offensive statistics, the Big 12 defenses may not be showing up as well as some of the other teams around the nation, because there are some terrific offenses in the Big 12. I mean, Texas Tech has a good offense. If you look and see what Baylor has done, I think when we saw Robert Griffin here a couple of weeks ago, and he's just a terrific player. There are just a lot of good offenses, and so if you look at statistics, Oklahoma may not be up there among the top, but they're still a very well-coached and a very talented defense, and that's a huge challenge for Colorado.
You talk about good defenses, and I'm not going to say Colorado is an elite defense or anything, but considering the rash of injuries that Colorado defensive coaches have had to deal with this year, I think Ron Collins, Romeo Bandison, Brian Cabral, Ashley Ambrose, I think those guys have done a pretty decent job on that side of the ball coaching this year. I mean, last week against Texas Tech, there was a play where two true freshmen combined to make a sack, Terrell Smith and Chidera Uzo-Deribi. The Buffs are just playing with a lot of inexperienced pieces and parts out there that nobody really expected to see on the field much this year.
And it shows. It shows. I mean, Terrell Smith made a lot of good plays last weekend, and he made a couple of big mistakes, and it showed up for him. But that's the hand they're dealt. And again, you'd like to have the offense keep the defense off the field just a little bit this weekend. Last time Colorado went down to Oklahoma and played, they stayed in that game, and you were down there covering it.
Yeah, Jordan Dizon played his heart out that game. They went into the fourth quarter. It was still a winnable game. I believe it was either 14-0, maybe 14-3. Totally winnable game, but the wind was howling that day, and the Buffs just couldn't get anything going offensively. What do you expect this week?
I think Colorado can go down there and compete with them. Like you said, I think Colorado's defense has played well this year. I think Colorado's defense has done a good job. All things considered, I expect him to go down there and be competitive for a while. But in the end, Oklahoma's talent, Oklahoma's just overriding depth, everything else, I think that sinks Colorado. I don't see how Colorado can go down there and win this game. So, I look for Oklahoma like that happened last time they went down there. Oklahoma pulls away in the second half. It's a 34-10, 34-17 ball game.
You're so negative, Neil.
I know. Well, somebody has to be, because Kyle Ringo's not here. The real Kyle Ringo is not here.
We just broke some news here on Buffzone. If that is the voice of God, we now know that God is a female. Anyway, there is nothing statistically, there's no trend, there's really no evidence I can point to that leads me to believe that Colorado is going to win this game in Norman, Oklahoma against Bob Stoops and the Sooners. But I have this little feeling in my gut telling me something's
up.
Something's amiss. Something's weird this week. And so I'm going to pick the Buffs to upset the Sooners, end two streaks at once, and I think next week we'll be talking about a little different scenario here.
That would be a great upset. They've done it before. Last time they played Oklahoma, number 3 Oklahoma, Colorado won on a field goal. There's the question: if it comes down to a game-winning field goal, Kyle, how do you like the Buffs' chances?
I think they go for it on 4th down.
Okay. All righty. We'll be back next week. Oh, man. Oh, that was too much. And hopefully the real Kyle Ringo will be here.